Friends, good evening. Take a moment and become very still. Forget the day you have just lived. Forget for a little while your bills, your letters, your telephone calls, all the noise of the outer world. You are not here by accident. You have been drawn here because something in you is ready to hear what I am about to say. Tonight, I want to speak to you about your success. Not the success you hope for one day, not the success you chase, but the success that is already set in motion this very moment. I am not here to tell you that success will come if you work hard enough, if you meet the right people, if you are fortunate with conditions. No, I say to you, as I have proved in my own life, and in the lives of countless men and women, your success is not coming. Your success is already here, already moving, already unfolding in the only place where anything can ever begin, in your own consciousness. Whether you are conscious of it or not, you are right now setting in motion the level of success you will meet in the world. Every moment of the day, you are assuming something to be true of yourself. Perhaps you say, I am unlucky. I am always passed over. Nothing ever works out for me. Or perhaps you say, I am favored. I am guided. Doors open for me. Whatever you are saying with feeling in the silence of your own mind, that is the seed of your future. The world simply waits to mirror it. Years ago, I discovered a principle that changed my entire life. I discovered that consciousness is the only reality. Not this hall, not the chair on which you sit, not the figures written in your bank book, not the body you wear. These are shadows, pictures, outpicturings of an inner state. The reality that produces all these shadows is your own wonderful human imagination. And what you assume to be true in imagination, when you feel it as real, will harden into fact in your world. This is what I mean by the law of assumption. You move through life continually assuming. You assume you are this sort of person or that sort of person. You assume you are healthy or sick, blessed or cursed, capable or incapable, and your outer world faithfully follows your dominant assumptions. Tonight, I want you to apply this law consciously to one thing: your success. When I use that word, I do not mean merely money, though money may certainly come. I mean the full, rich, satisfying expression of your talents, your work, your relationships, the feeling that your life is unfolding in harmony with your deepest desire. I know many of you have worked hard. Some of you have read every book you can find, listened to lecturers, attended classes, tried new businesses, moved to new cities, changed jobs, changed companions, and still you are waiting for that great turning point, that break that seems always to be delayed. May I tell you, lovingly, you have been looking in the wrong place. Success does not begin in the office or the factory or the marketplace. It does not begin when a letter arrives, or a relative leaves you an inheritance, or a friend offers you a position. These are only the outer channels through which your inner assumption expresses itself. Success begins in the one arena over which you have absolute dominion, your own consciousness. So tonight, I shall show you 4 things. First, how your success is already moving toward you in the unseen, whether you recognize it or not. Second, how to cooperate with this movement by assuming, here and now, the feeling of being the man or woman you long to be. Third, how to stop delaying what is already yours by refusing to return to the old, defeated concept of yourself. And finally, I will show you that behind all material success lies a far greater discovery, that the very power by which you achieve anything in this world is the God within you, your own I am. I do not speak to you tonight as a theorist. I am not giving you a new philosophy to argue about in the cafes tomorrow. I speak to you as one who has tested this law in the furnace of living. I have gone from being a penniless, unknown man in this country to traveling, speaking, and living in freedom. Not because I was fortunate in birth or education, but because I learned how to assume the state I desired and persist in that assumption until it hardened into fact. I want you to know that the same law that worked for me must work for you. For there is only one God, one consciousness, one creative power in all the universe, and that power is operating right now as your own imagination. So as we begin, I ask you to do one simple thing: lay aside just for this hour, the belief that you are the victim of circumstances. Lay aside the story that says, if only I had started earlier, if only I had a better education, if only I knew the right people, if only the times were different. Forget all that. Dare instead to accept that you are the operant power, that your future success is not at the mercy of the world, but already taking shape according to the image you now hold of yourself. In a moment we shall look more closely at this law and how to use it. But let me again state the central idea for tonight, and I want you to hear it as though you were hearing it for the very first time. Your success is not something that will happen to you one day. Your success is a state of consciousness that you can occupy this very moment. Once you assume it and remain faithful to it, your world, by a law as certain as gravity, must rearrange itself to reflect that assumption. That is the truth I wish to prove to you tonight. If you are willing to test it, if you are willing to take your attention for a little while away from the evidence of the senses and place it upon what you desire to be, you will discover that your success is already set in motion and is even now on its way into visible expression. Now let us turn to the law itself and see how this invisible engine of your success actually works. Let us now speak of the law itself, the law of assumption, the invisible engine of your success. The law is simple, yet its simplicity is what causes men to overlook it. It states that what you assume as true and feel as real becomes your experience. Nothing more, nothing less. It does not require degrees or special positions or the approval of others. It operates for the child, the scholar, the merchant, the laborer, and the artist alike. It operates night and day. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are at every moment assuming something to be true of yourself and of your world. And the outer world simply mirrors back to you that assumption in form and condition. Now, there is a vast difference between wishing and assuming. To wish is to remain aware of the absence of what you desire. You say, I wish I were successful. I wish I were loved. I wish I had money. But within the wish lies a confession. I do not yet have it. And because consciousness is the only creative power, that confession becomes your reality. You perpetuate the lack by continually acknowledging it. To assume, however, is to step beyond the wish into possession. It is to claim within yourself, I am already that which I desire to be. It is to dwell in imagination, in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is to become in consciousness the very thing you seek, and to persist there until the outer world, compelled by law, reflects it back to you. Do you see the difference, my friends? The wisher stands outside his desire, looking toward it. The assumer stands within it, looking out from it. The first lives in hope and delay, the second lives in fulfillment and certainty. And the world, which is nothing more than the mirror of consciousness, shows each man the image of his own assumption. When I speak of success, therefore, I do not speak of some goal you may one day reach. I speak of a state of consciousness that you may enter now this very instant by assumption. Success is not something you chase. Success is a state you occupy. It is a way of thinking, of feeling, of moving, of speaking, born not of effort, but of inner conviction. And once that conviction is accepted as natural, success must follow as surely as night follows day. Let me make this perfectly clear. Your past has no power to determine your future. Your background, your family, your education, your failures, these are but the dead leaves of an old season. Do not carry them into the new springtime of your being. You are not bound by what you have been. You are bound only by what you believe yourself to be now. The law makes no distinction between the rich and the poor, the learned and the unlearned. It responds only to feeling, to assumption. So if you wish to change your life, you must first change the assumption from which you live. No man can be successful while secretly assuming himself to be a failure. No man can be happy while inwardly assuming himself to be unworthy of happiness. Your assumption, held persistently with feeling, is stronger than circumstance, stronger than reason, stronger even than apparent fact, because it is the cause of those very facts. Now you may ask, if my success already exists as an inner state, where is it now? Where does it exist before I can see it? It exists, my friends, in what I call the fourth dimension, the dimension of imagination, of timeless reality. Everything that has ever appeared in this world existed first in that higher dimension, not as an abstraction, but as a completed pattern, awaiting expression. The chair upon which you sit was once an imaginal act in the mind of a craftsman. The building around us, the clothes you wear, the inventions you use, all were once invisible realities in the imagination of someone who dared to assume them real before one fragment of evidence appeared. So it is with your success. It already exists now in that unseen world as a finished creation, a pattern of experience waiting to be called forth. Your task is not to make it happen, but to assume it into being, to accept it in consciousness as true until your senses confirm it. In this world of shadows, we think of time as moving from past to future, as though creation were a slow process. But in truth, all things exist simultaneously in the eternal now. Your success, your wealth, your health, your recognition, all are already complete in the fourth dimension. You bring them into visibility by changing your inner assumption, by aligning your consciousness with that completed pattern. You are not creating something new any more than the sculptor creates the statue. He merely removes the stone that hides it. Your assumption removes the veil that hides your success from view. So when I tell you that your success is already set in motion, I mean this literally. You have already conceived it in imagination, perhaps many times. You have seen flashes of it in your dreams, in those quiet moments when you dared to believe. And each of those imaginal moments is still alive, still moving, still working to bring itself into form. Do not think the law has forgotten you. The law never forgets. Every assumption persists until it fulfills its mission. And tonight, as you listen to these words, you can choose again what you wish to assume. You can say within yourself, I am successful now. I am living in the joy of my fulfilled desire. My world already reflects this inner truth. And if you can feel that, even faintly, the machinery of the universe begins to move to make it visible. So remember this as we continue. You do not need to work for success. You need only to assume it. You do not need to beg for success. You need only to accept it. For your assumption is the cause, and its outer reflection, the inevitable effect. Now, having understood what the law of assumption is, let us look at how this success, which already exists in the unseen, becomes your living, breathing experience in this world of time and form. Let us now move deeper into this great mystery, the truth that success is not a future event, but a present state. Every great success that has ever appeared in this world first existed, fully formed in the imagination of someone who dared to believe it was real now. Long before the world saw it, they saw it within. Long before others applauded it, they felt it accomplished in the silence of their own hearts. Think of the inventor, alone in his workshop, holding the image of a machine that does not yet exist. Think of the composer, who hears the music before a single note is written, or the explorer who sees the new land before a single mile is traveled. They were not hoping that one day their vision might come to pass. They were living from that vision, feeling it, touching it, breathing it, until the invisible became visible. This, my friends, is the secret of creation. You must be it before you can see it. The outer world is forever moving in obedience to the inner assumption. The moment you occupy the state of success in imagination, that very moment, the world begins to reshape itself to mirror your new identity. Now, most people make the error of living toward success. They see it as something distant, something that lies beyond effort, beyond time, beyond struggle. And so they plan, they push, they strive, all the while saying within themselves, someday I'll make it. Someday I'll arrive. But someday is a phantom that never comes. The man who lives toward success dies still reaching. The man who lives from success walks already fulfilled. Living toward success is like standing at the threshold of a room, reaching for the handle but never entering. Living from success is stepping through the door and taking your place inside. Once you have entered, you do not keep asking, when will I be in the room? You simply are there. The same must be true of your successful state. You must stop standing at the threshold of your desire and step boldly into it. Now, in imagination. Let me give you another picture. When you put on a garment, you do not question whether you are wearing it. You feel its texture upon your skin, its weight upon your shoulders. You adjust yourself naturally to its fit. So must you clothe yourself in the feeling of success. You must wear the state mentally and emotionally until it feels natural, until you forget that you ever wore another. When you first assume it, it may feel strange, as a new suit feels stiff at first, but persist, and soon it molds itself to your nature. Then, without effort, you move, think, and speak as the successful one you have assumed yourself to be. Or consider the simple act of filling a glass with water. The water takes the shape of the glass automatically. It does not struggle or resist. It simply conforms to the container that holds it. Your world must conform in the same way to the shape of your assumption. Hold firmly the image of yourself as successful, and all the elements of your life will flow into that form. I tell you, this is not poetic fancy. It is law. When I was first learning these principles, my teacher Abdullah said to me, "Neville, stop thinking of what you want. Think from it." At first, I did not understand. I continued to visualize myself out there, looking at my desire as though it were across a great distance, and nothing happened. Then, one night, I tried what he said. I imagined myself already there, not as an onlooker, but as the one who had achieved it. I felt the reality of it, the satisfaction, the ease, the gratitude. I fell asleep in that feeling, and within weeks, the outer world arranged itself with perfect precision to reflect that state. That, my friends, was the beginning of my understanding. To think of your desire is to separate yourself from it. To think from it is to unite yourself with it. And creation is union, never separation. Right now, you can test this for yourself. Imagine, if you will, that you are already the success you long to be. Not next year, not next month. Now, how would you walk into this hall? How would you greet your friends? How would you sit in that chair if you knew with certainty that you were already the embodiment of success? Close your eyes for a moment and feel it. Feel the ease in your body, the confidence in your step, the quiet joy that knows it is done. Do not strain, simply be there. And as you hold that feeling, even for a minute, something begins to stir, not in the outer world first, but in the depths of your own consciousness. You have shifted states. You have stepped out of the old self, the one who was striving and doubting, and you have entered the new self, who simply is. That shift, invisible though it may seem, is the beginning of everything. Your task now is to remain faithful to it, to carry the feeling of the wish fulfilled as naturally as you carry your own name. When doubts arise, as they surely will, you return again and again to that inner knowing, "I am already what I sought to become." Every man who has ever succeeded has lived this way, whether he knew the law or not. He felt his success as real before one fragment of evidence appeared. He believed so completely in his inner vision that the outer world had no choice but to conform. So tonight, let me say again what I most want you to remember. You must be it before you can see it. You must walk, speak, and feel from the end, not toward it. And as you persist in this inner conviction, the unseen pattern of your success, which already exists in the fourth dimension, will rise into view and surround you. This is the mystery of all manifestation, the secret known to the prophets, the poets, and the dreamers of every age. And it is yours to use, here and now, to live the life you have long imagined. Now that we have understood that success is a present state, not a future goal, let us look more closely at how that state begins to transform you from within, how it changes your thoughts, your feelings, and even your relationships, until the entire world recognizes in you the mark of one who has already succeeded. Now let us come to the very heart of the matter, the instant when success truly begins. It does not begin when the opportunity appears, or when the letter arrives, or when someone praises your work. No, success begins the moment you dare to see yourself differently. That single, quiet decision to change the way you see yourself is the turning point of your entire destiny. For your self-concept is the root of every experience in your world. It is the invisible foundation upon which all circumstances rest. Change that concept, and everything else must change with it. You see, every man and woman in this room is living not in the world as it is, but in the world as they believe themselves to be. If you believe yourself to be limited, the world will show you limitation. If you believe yourself to be favored, the world will rise up to prove you right. If you think of yourself as a struggler, life will faithfully give you something to struggle with. And if you dare to think of yourself as successful, life will, with mathematical certainty, unfold the conditions that correspond to that assumption. So I ask you, who are you in imagination? What picture of yourself are you secretly holding? For that image, not your actions, not your background, not your so-called luck, determines the measure of your success. I have known men who worked tirelessly, pushing and striving, only to remain in the same place year after year. And I have known others who seemed to move effortlessly from one success to another. What made the difference? It was never chance. It was never favor from others. It was always the concept they held of themselves. You may change houses, jobs, cities, even countries, but until you change your self-concept, you will meet the same conditions, again and again under different names and faces. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror faithfully reflecting the inner pattern. Let me show you how this works in simple terms. Imagine two people standing side by side, each faced with the same opportunity. One says within himself, I am the one to whom success rarely comes. I have always been overlooked. The other says, I am the one through whom success must express itself. I am chosen, capable, guided. Now, though they may perform the same actions, the same words, the same work, their inner cause is not the same. And because consciousness is the only reality, their outcomes cannot be the same. To the first man, doors will appear closed, people will seem indifferent, effort will feel heavy. To the second, opportunities will open, help will come unasked, and life will seem to move with him instead of against him. And yet both men are living in the same world. The difference is not in the world. The difference is in their self-concept. You see, you do not attract what you want. You attract what you believe yourself to be. That is the secret men overlook. They pray for success while inwardly assuming themselves to be unworthy or incapable of it. They make affirmations by day and deny them by night in the silent conversation of their hearts. My friends, there is no power in heaven or on earth that can bring you what you deny yourself in imagination. You must become the successful self in consciousness. First, not by effort, not by forcing yourself to think, but by quietly choosing a new standpoint within. Changing your self-concept is not a struggle. You do not fight the old man to create the new. You simply stop giving life to the old identity and start feeding the new. You withdraw attention from the self who failed and give your attention to the self who succeeds. And because attention is the only creative force, what you attend to must grow. It is like moving from one room to another in your own house. You do not destroy the first room to enter the second. You simply walk into it and close the door behind you. In the same way, you leave behind the old idea of yourself, the one who doubted, who waited, who struggled, and you step into the awareness of being successful now. When you first assume this new identity, it may feel strange, even false. You may think, but this isn't me. And I say to you, of course it isn't, not yet, but persist. And soon it will feel as natural as your own name. All your reactions will begin to change. The tone of your voice will change. The way you carry yourself will change. The choices you make, the people you draw to you, even the ideas that come to mind, all will flow from this new center of being. Because every action, every decision, every habit is nothing more than the shadow of the self-concept that produced it. Change the root, and the branches must bear different fruit. Perhaps you have noticed how naturally a confident man acts. He does not try to appear confident, he simply is. Or how easily a prosperous man talks of wealth. He does not strain to believe. It feels natural to him. The difference is not talent, nor effort, but concept. The man who has assumed himself to be successful acts from that state unconsciously. He doesn't need to fake it until he makes it. He has already made it in consciousness. And what is made in consciousness must eventually be made manifest. So tonight, I invite you to make a quiet but revolutionary decision to stop living as the man to whom success might come someday, and begin to live as the one through whom success must express itself now. Say within yourself, I am the chosen vessel through which success flows. My success is inevitable because it is part of who I am. Say it not with effort, but with quiet certainty, and feel its truth sink into you. That feeling, held faithfully, will do more for you than years of struggle and strain. For success is not achieved by striving, it is revealed by assumption. And assumption is nothing more than choosing where you stand in consciousness and remaining there until the outer world catches up. So remember, success begins the instant you dare to see yourself differently. You need not move a muscle in the outer world until that change has taken place within. For once you have chosen your new standpoint, all outer movement will spring from it naturally, and your world will mirror back the image of your new self. Now that we understand the power of the self-concept, let us move further and see how to recognize the signs that this inner transformation has begun. How to know that your success is already set in motion and the new world is quietly forming itself around you. Now that you understand that success begins with a change in your self-concept, you may wonder, how will I know when my success has truly been set in motion? My friends, the first signs do not appear in the outer world. They begin quietly, almost imperceptibly within you. You will notice that your inner conversations begin to change. The old inner voice that used to question, worry, and argue will start to fade. You will catch yourself quite naturally, speaking to yourself in a new tone. Where once you said, I hope this works out, you will now find yourself saying, of course it will. It always does. Where once you rehearsed failure, you will now rehearse fulfillment. These new inner words come of their own accord. They are not forced. They arise because consciousness has shifted its center. You are no longer the same being who doubted. You have become the one who knows. You will also find that your reactions to old situations begin to change. Things that once irritated you will no longer have the same hold. Where you once felt anxiety, you will feel calm. Where you once felt envy, you will feel inspiration. The same people, the same tasks, may still surround you, but you will not be the same within them. And that, my friends, is the unmistakable evidence that success has begun to move. The seed has taken root. Before the plant breaks through the soil, life is already surging upward in the darkness. So it is with your new state. Before the world can show one visible change, the new consciousness has already begun its upward movement. You will also begin to experience a quiet certainty, a deep, unshakable peace that has no outer cause. You may still have no sign, no letter, no opportunity in view, yet you will know, you will feel that it is done. You will go about your days lighter, easier, as though some invisible burden has been lifted. And indeed it has, for you are no longer carrying the weight of doubt. You are resting in the assurance that what you have assumed is now on its way to visible expression. I remember when I first experienced this shift. Nothing in my outer world had yet changed, but something inside me had grown still. The constant chatter of when and how simply stopped. There was no excitement, no strain, only a quiet, sacred knowing that everything was unfolding in perfect order. From that moment, all anxiety vanished, and within a short time, the outer world began to reflect what had already taken place within. Now, these inner signs will soon be followed by outer ones. Small events, little coincidences, slight rearrangements that seem at first of no great importance. You may overhear a conversation that gives you an idea. A stranger may mention a name or place that later becomes vital. You might meet someone unexpectedly, receive a letter, or have a door open where before there was none. These are not accidents. They are the early movements of what I call the bridge of incidents, the chain of events through which your assumption becomes fact. The bridge does not show itself all at once. You see it one step at a time as you walk across it. And when you look back, you will see how perfectly each small event was woven into the pattern of your success. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Every detail, every seeming detour, every delay, all were necessary adjustments, aligning your outer world with the inner state you had claimed. This is why I tell you, never to grow discouraged by delays or small frustrations. They are not signs that the law has failed. They are signs that it is working. The old structure must give way before the new can rise. Sometimes the rearrangement looks like chaos, but it is divine order in disguise. If a door closes, It is not rejection, it is redirection. If someone leaves your life, bless them, for they are making room for the ones who belong to your new state. If plans fall apart, rejoice, for the higher order is reshaping itself in a way your reason could never have designed. I have often said that the world is a stage, and we are its playwrights. When you assume a new role, the cast around you must change to fit the new script. Do not cling to the old actors or scenes. They cannot play in the new drama you have chosen. Remember, the evidence of movement will always appear within, before it appears without. You will know your success is on its way when your inner climate changes, when peace replaces tension, when confidence replaces questioning, when gratitude arises before any visible gift has appeared. At that point, you are like the sculptor who has already seen the statue within the marble. Each stroke of his chisel only reveals what was there all along. So too, every incident that follows your assumption simply reveals more of what was already true in consciousness. I tell you, if you will persist in this quiet faith, you will soon see the outer world rearrange itself with breathtaking precision. People you have never met will be drawn into your orbit. Events will combine in ways no man could have planned. And when your success stands before you, you will know beyond question that it was not the result of luck or labor, but the inevitable unfolding of your own assumption. So the next time you find yourself waiting for proof, remember this: the proof has already begun. You feel it in your peace, you see it in your reactions, you hear it in your new inner voice. These are the first whispers of manifestation, the heralds of a new world forming itself around you. Be still, then, and let the pattern complete its work. Your success is not coming, it is already in motion, and the outer signs will appear in perfect time, as surely as morning follows the night. Now that you know how to recognize these signs, let us move further and see how the very circumstances that once seemed to oppose your success can become the raw material through which it is expressed. Let us now turn to one of the most misunderstood aspects of this great law: the role of your present circumstances. Many people come to me and say, "Neville, I believe in imagination, but how can I feel successful when everything around me denies it? My bank account is empty, my work is uncertain, my health is failing, and those I love seem indifferent. How can I believe in success while standing in the midst of failure?" And I always tell them this: your present circumstances are not your enemies. They are the raw materials of your success. Think of the artist before an empty canvas. To the untrained eye, there is nothing there, only blankness, an absence of beauty, of form, of meaning. Yet to the artist, that emptiness is pure potential. He does not curse the canvas for being bare. He rejoices that it is ready to receive his vision. So it is with you, your current situation, no matter how barren or unfinished it may seem, is the canvas upon which your imagination paints the masterpiece of your life. Or picture the sculptor standing before a rough block of stone. The world sees only the hardness of the rock, the unyielding surface, but the sculptor sees the statue already complete within it. He does not fight the stone, he works with it. Each strike of his chisel is guided by the image he holds within. So must you treat your circumstances. They are not obstacles to your success, they are the substance through which your vision takes form. You may think, "But Neville, my situation is too difficult, too unjust, too hopeless." And I say to you, it only appears that way because you are still judging it from your old state of consciousness. Change your standpoint, and the meaning of every event will change with it. You must learn to see the world not through the eyes of the one who wants success, but through the eyes of the one who is already successful. When you stand in that new position, the same facts will tell a different story. Let me give you a simple exercise. Whenever you are confronted by a circumstance that seems contrary to your desire, pause for a moment and ask yourself, how would I see this if I were already successful? This single question has the power to transform your reaction completely. The man who sees himself as a failure interprets every difficulty as proof of defeat. The man who sees himself as successful interprets every difficulty as proof of progress. To the one, a delay means rejection. To the other, it means refinement. To the one, a closed door is an ending. To the other, it is the turning of a page. The outer event is neutral. it has no meaning until your consciousness gives it meaning. I remember once, many years ago, when things seemed to fall apart all at once. The end of an engagement, the loss of money, a door closed to a position I had hoped for. At first, my human self wanted to despair. But I remembered the law and said to myself, if I am truly the one I have assumed myself to be, then this must be part of the bridge of incidents. It cannot be against me. So instead of resisting it, I blessed it. I said inwardly, this too is good. This too is leading me to fulfillment. And within a short time, what had seemed like a loss proved to be a necessary reordering of my world. Something far greater unfolded from it, something I could not have planned or imagined, had the old conditions remained. You see, circumstances have no life of their own. They are animated entirely by the state of consciousness from which you observe them. They cannot sustain themselves against a sustained assumption. Hold fast to the vision of success, and every condition that does not match it must either transform or dissolve. That is not poetry, that is law. When you turn on the light in a dark room, you do not fight the darkness. You do not chase it out with your hands. You simply introduce the light, and the darkness disappears by the law of its own nature. Likewise, when you introduce the consciousness of success into your world, every trace of failure, lack, or limitation must fade away. Do not waste your energy struggling against appearances. Do not curse the stone for being rough, or the clay for being shapeless. Instead, hold your image, your inner pattern, with faith and feeling, and let the outer form obey it. When I say faith, I do not mean blind optimism. I mean the quiet conviction that imagination creates reality, that what you have conceived in consciousness must come to pass. And so, my friends, when you look at your life tonight, I ask you not to judge by sight. Do not say, this proves I have failed. Say instead, this is the material through which my success is being shaped. Every event, every person, every apparent obstacle is clay in the potter's hands, your hands, and the form it takes depends entirely on the image you impress upon it. So begin tonight to look at your world differently. See in every circumstance the raw material of your triumph. Bless it, use it, and reinterpret it from your new state. For your assumption is the only power that gives life to form. And when your assumption is sustained, calmly, persistently, lovingly, no condition, no delay, no obstacle can stand before it. The world must bend to your inner conviction as surely as the shadow bends to the light. Now that you know how to use your present circumstances as the very tools of transformation, let us look next at what happens when the old order begins to give way, when your world starts to shake and rearrange itself under the pressure of your new assumption. Now, my friends, once you have assumed your new state, once you have dared to see yourself differently and have persisted in that assumption, a most curious thing begins to happen. Your world, which seemed so solid, so fixed, so dependable, begins to shake. Things you thought were permanent start to shift. People you were certain would remain may drift away. Situations you believed were secure may begin to dissolve. And I want you to understand this clearly. This shaking is not a sign of failure, but of movement. It means that life itself is rearranging to fit the new concept you hold of yourself. When a new assumption is adopted, the old order must dissolve. The structures built upon your former beliefs cannot stand under the weight of a new identity. The world must reorganize itself, and often that process looks like chaos. It is very much like the caterpillar in the chrysalis. If you could look inside, you would not see a tidy transformation. You would see the complete disintegration of what once was. The old form melts away so that the new life can emerge. If you judged by appearances, you might think the caterpillar was dying, but in truth, it is being reborn. So it is with you. When your world begins to tremble, it is not dying, it is being made new. Or think of an earthquake, realigning the plates beneath the earth. To the surface dweller, the tremor feels frightening, but below, vast energies are finding their rightful balance. New mountains are forming. New paths for rivers are opening. So too, when your life begins to quiver under the pressure of a new assumption, know that a higher order is taking shape beneath the surface. I remember, when I first learned this law, How bewildered I became the first time my world began to shake. I had assumed a grand new state, full of faith and vision, and soon after, everything seemed to go wrong. People I trusted vanished from my life. Opportunities closed. I thought, surely I've done something wrong. But my teacher Abdullah simply smiled and said, Neville, do not be concerned. The world is rearranging itself to make room for the man you have become. Let it happen. And he was right. Within weeks, new people entered my life. New doors opened, and I realized that nothing had been lost, only the things that no longer belonged to the new me. You see, every assumption demands expression. When you assume a new concept of yourself, everything in your world that does not match that concept must either transform or depart. And because we are often attached to the old forms, this can feel painful. But the pain is only the resistance of the old self, clinging to what it cannot keep. Imagine your life as a room being rearranged. You have decided to redecorate, to create a new atmosphere, a new beauty. But before the new furniture can be placed, the old must be moved, the dust cleared, the walls repainted. For a while, the room looks worse, not better. You may see piles of furniture in the hallway, half-empty shelves, things out of order. But this disorder is not destruction, it is transition. And when the work is done, the new order stands radiant and harmonious. So it is with the world around you. When the new state begins to express itself, the outer scene goes through its necessary rearrangement. Old relationships dissolve, new ones appear. Plans collapse, only to make way for better ones. Even apparent losses are simply the clearing away of what can no longer serve you. This is why I tell you, when life begins to tremble under your feet, do not panic. Do not run back to your old self for safety. Do not say, this is not working. Instead, stand still and remind yourself, this is proof of movement. The new state is taking shape. The very shaking you feel is evidence that your assumption has power, that it is doing its perfect work. The bridge of incidents is forming, and though it may twist and turn in ways your reason cannot yet understand, it is leading you precisely where you have declared yourself to be. You may lose some things along the way, yes, but hear me well. Nothing that truly belongs to your new state can ever be taken from you. If it goes, it was never truly yours. If it stays, it will take on a richer meaning in the new pattern. And what is lost will always be replaced by something greater, something in harmony with the self you have become. So when people leave, bless them. When doors close, give thanks. When plans fall apart, smile inwardly and say, good. The rearrangement is working. Your only task is to remain faithful to your assumption, to hold your inner vision steady amid the shaking. For the shaking will pass, and in its place will stand a new world, ordered, stable, and beautiful, built upon the foundation of your new concept of self. Then you will look back and see that every loss was gain, every delay was mercy, and every tremor was grace in disguise. Now that you understand the necessity of this divine reorganization, let us go further and speak of the most sacred moment of all, the quiet time just before sleep, where your assumption takes deepest root and your future is fixed in motion. Now, my friends, let us move to the most sacred and creative moment of all, the moment when the mind hovers between wakefulness and sleep. I have called this the state akin to sleep, and it is in this delicate borderland that your future is fixed. You see, in your waking hours, the conscious mind is often filled with effort, with questioning, with reasoning, with resistance. It tries to make things happen. It worries about time and method. But in the drowsy stillness before sleep, all that noise grows quiet. The rational mind relaxes its grip, and what you impress upon your consciousness in that state sinks deeply into the subconscious, the womb of creation itself. This is why I tell you that the moments just before sleep are the most precious of the day. What you feel to be true in that interval will harden into fact in your world. So use it wisely. Let me show you how. First, relax the body completely. Lie down comfortably. Let your eyes close. Let each muscle grow loose and heavy. You are not trying to fall asleep yet. You are simply quieting the body so that the mind may be free. Feel the weight of your limbs, the rhythm of your breathing. Let the surface of thought grow still, as though you were floating upon calm water. Then, when you feel yourself becoming drowsy, when the edges of the world begin to soften, bring before your mind a short, simple scene that would imply that your success is already achieved. Do not make it long or complex. The simpler it is, the deeper it will impress the subconscious. For example, if your desire is to be successful in your chosen work, imagine a dear friend taking your hand and saying with genuine warmth, "I always knew you'd make it." Hear the tone of their voice, feel their hand in yours, see the smile upon their face. Let that single moment stand as proof that the entire journey is complete. Or, if your desire concerns abundance, imagine yourself writing the final figure in your ledger, satisfied and content. If it concerns love, imagine the warmth of a hand resting in yours as you walk together in perfect ease. Choose whatever scene would follow naturally. If your wish were now a fact, now, and this is most important, enter that scene in the first person. Do not see yourself from the outside, as though watching a play. Be in it. Look through your own eyes. Hear through your own ears. Feel with your own body. Make it real, but not by effort, by quiet acceptance. Do not strain to make the scene vivid. Do not struggle to hold it. Simply relax into it. Let the feeling of the wish fulfilled fill you so completely that all sense of waiting or wanting disappears. You are not imagining that it will happen. You are resting in the knowledge that it already has. Then, as you gently drift into sleep, let the scene carry you. Do not awaken yourself to analyze it or repeat affirmations. Let the dream of fulfillment become the doorway to actual sleep. For in that state, when consciousness merges with subconscious, the assumption takes root and begins to grow of its own accord. I have tested this method countless times, and I assure you it works with mathematical certainty. The key is feeling. You must feel yourself into the reality of the wish fulfilled. Not as a hope, not as a prayer, but as an accomplished fact. This is not the time for effort. It is not the time to beg or to reason. It is the time to accept, to surrender completely to the reality of your fulfilled desire. You are not trying to make anything happen. You are acknowledging that it already has. When you practice this nightly, you will begin to notice a quiet shift in your waking hours. Your mornings will feel lighter. Your conversations will carry new confidence. Ideas will come without strain, and circumstances will start to arrange themselves with subtle precision. All because, each night, you planted the seed of success in the fertile soil of the subconscious. And remember this, you may fall asleep while imagining, in fact, that is ideal. For as you drift into slumber, your conscious effort ceases, and the subconscious takes over completely, nourishing the seed throughout the night. So tonight, as you prepare for rest, do not take your worries with you into sleep. Take only the feeling that your desire is already fulfilled. Let that be your final thought, your final mood. And as you sleep, know this, your success is being arranged even now. The unseen forces of life are already setting every condition in motion to express your assumption in the world of form. Tomorrow, you may awaken to the same room, the same surroundings, the same familiar faces, but something will have changed. Your inner vibration will be different, and the world will respond to that difference in kind. What you have accepted in the silence of sleep will begin to shape itself in the daylight. So I tell you, go to sleep tonight, as though you were already the successful being you desire to be. Do not postpone your fulfillment. Live it inwardly now and let the world catch up to your conviction. And when you awaken tomorrow, rise not as one who waits for success, but as one who has already received it. Now, before we close, let us move to the final understanding, the unshakable faith that sustains your assumption through all appearances, the absolute knowing that your success is not only certain, but already complete. Now, my friends, as you go about your days, I must remind you of something vitally important. The motion of your success, once set in consciousness, must be kept alive through your inner conversations. Your inner speech is the most constant activity of your being. It goes on day and night, whether you are aware of it or not. You may sit in silence outwardly, yet inwardly you are talking about yourself, about others, about your future, about your failures, about what you think is possible and what you think is not. This inner talking, though so subtle, is the very thing that shapes your world. I have called it unbroken prayer. For prayer is not something you do for 5 minutes before bed. It is the continuous dialogue of your soul with itself. Now, if you understand that your imagination creates reality, then you will see how serious a matter your inner conversations truly are. If you allow them to run unchecked, to dwell upon doubt, delay, or unworthiness, you are like a gardener who plants a seed of success at night and then spends the day digging it up to see if it grows. Every time you mentally rehearse failure or imagine disappointment or think of yourself as not yet there, you are contradicting your own assumption. You are praying for the very thing you do not want. So I tell you, take up what I call a mental diet, a deliberate, loving discipline of thought, not a harsh suppression, not self-condemnation, but a gentle vigilance. You must become the guardian of your own inner speech. Let me make this plain. A mental diet does not mean that you never think of anything unpleasant. It means that you no longer dwell upon it or identify with it. When a thought of failure comes, you do not wrestle with it. You replace it. When an image of lack arises, you do not fear it. You reinterpret it. You say inwardly, no, that is not my truth anymore. I am the successful one now. My world must mirror that. Every time you shift your inner dialogue from doubt to faith, from delay to fulfillment, you reinforce the motion of success already set in consciousness. Let me show you what I mean by old inner talk versus new inner talk. The old self says, things never work out for me. I'm always so close, but something goes wrong. I hope it happens this time. I'm trying my best, but nothing changes. The new self, the successful self, speaks differently. Everything is unfolding perfectly. Success flows naturally to me. I am always in the right place at the right time. I no longer try to make it happen. I allow it to happen. Do you feel the difference? The words themselves may seem simple, but the feeling behind them is worlds apart. The first group of statements imagines delay, struggle, and lack. The second breathes ease, certainty, and fulfillment. And since your imagination is the only creative power, the second must produce results equal to its feeling. You might say, but Neville, must I watch every thought I think? And I answer, no, not every fleeting thought, but every conversation that carries emotion. For it is feeling that gives thought its creative force. A passing idea is like a spark in the air, but a thought felt deeply is a flame that burns into fact. So when you find yourself inwardly speaking from limitation, this will take too long. Maybe next year, I don't deserve it. Stop. Not in condemnation, but in awareness. Say to yourself, that voice belongs to the old me and I am done with it. Then gently turn your attention to the new inner conversation, the one that matches your fulfilled desire. You could even imagine a dialogue with a friend congratulating you, thanking you, admiring your success. Hear their voice. Respond in kind. Say inwardly, yes, isn't it wonderful? It all unfolded so naturally. And let that become your dominant tone throughout the day. This is not make-believe. This is the creative act itself. Remember, your world is nothing but your inner talking pushed out. Every event, every meeting, every so-called coincidence is an echo of the words you have been whispering to yourself. So if you wish to keep your success in motion, keep your inner prayer aligned with it. Speak inwardly, only of what you wish to see outwardly. Let no idle thought of failure find a home within you. And when you catch yourself complaining, for we all do, stop immediately and say, no, that is not my story anymore. My story is one of success, ease, and divine unfolding. At first, this discipline may feel unfamiliar, but soon it will become second nature. For when the consciousness of success becomes your dwelling place, it will feel more natural to think from victory than from struggle. Then, your world will mirror that inner ease, effortlessly, faithfully, beautifully. So I tell you, guard your words within as carefully as you would guard your most precious treasure. For indeed, your inner speech is the treasure house of your world. Keep it pure, keep it radiant, keep it aligned with your fulfilled desire, and your success will continue to move toward full manifestation, with the certainty of dawn following night. Now, before we bring this lesson to a close, let us turn to the final realization. the calm conviction that seals the work, the unwavering knowing that your success is not a matter of time or chance, but a living reality now. Now, my friends, let us speak of something that troubles nearly every seeker at some point along this path: time, doubt, and the haunting feeling that nothing is happening. How often have you said to yourself, I have imagined faithfully, I have felt it real, I have held the state, and yet nothing seems to move? And how often, when the outer world appears still, do you begin to question the law itself, or worse, to question yourself? I tell you now, this apparent stillness is not failure. It is simply the interval, the sacred period between cause and visible effect. You must understand that time is never your enemy. It is the faithful servant of your assumption. It is the interval required for the unseen pattern to solidify, for your inner image to take root in the dense world of form. Think of the seed planted in the ground. When the gardener presses it beneath the soil, does he dig it up each morning to see if it grows? No. He knows that unseen forces are at work. He waters the ground, tends the soil, and waits with quiet faith. If he judged by appearances, he might say, nothing is happening, but below the surface, a great transformation is taking place. Roots are forming, life is stirring, the invisible pattern is beginning to unfold. So it is with you. Once you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, once the seed of success is planted in consciousness, your only task is to let it grow undisturbed. Do not dig it up with worry or smother it with doubt. Let time do its gentle, perfect work. You may not yet see movement in your outer world, but rest assured, the law is moving. The pattern has been set, and it must crystallize according to its nature. No force on earth can prevent it from coming forth when you remain faithful to the inner cause. Consider also the simple analogy of water heating to a boil. You may stand over the pot, watching the flame, saying, but it looks the same, nothing is happening. Yet, within the water, invisible energy is building. At first, there is no sign of change. Then, small bubbles form, and suddenly, with absolute certainty, the water boils. So it is with manifestation. You may not perceive the subtle build-up, but the moment of transformation is inevitable, when the assumption is sustained. Now, let us speak of doubt, that familiar intruder that whispers, perhaps it isn't working, or maybe I did it wrong. I tell you, doubt is not a sign of failure. It is simply the habit of the old self trying to survive. You have lived so long identifying with limitation that the mind, like a restless servant, resists new instructions. It clings to the familiar even when that familiarity is misery. But listen carefully. You are under no obligation to argue with doubt. You do not need to debate it, explain it, or fight it. For in arguing with it, you make it real again. When doubt arises, and it will, simply refuse to entertain it. Turn quietly within, and return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do not plead, oh, let this happen. Instead, calmly affirm within yourself, it is already done. Feel again the inner satisfaction of having received, and when the mind protests, saying, but I see no evidence, smile inwardly and reply, the cause is already planted. The effect must appear. You see, the law is infallible. It operates with the precision of mathematics, but on the level of spirit. The cause, your assumption, is the seed. The effect, your visible success, is its inevitable harvest. If you disturb the soil with impatience, you only delay the process. But if you keep your faith quiet and your feelings steady, time itself bends to serve you. Every moment you persist in the consciousness of already being successful, you are heating the water of your world. You are raising its vibration, bringing it ever closer to the point of visible transformation. So the next time you find yourself thinking, nothing is happening, remind yourself, something is always happening. The invisible is always arranging the visible. The bridge of incidents is forming beneath the surface, even when your senses perceive stillness. Do not measure progress by outer signs. Measure it by inner peace. For when you can rest calmly in the knowing that it is already done, that quiet confidence is the surest evidence that the law is at work. I say again, do not fight doubt. Transcend it. You transcend it by remembering who you are. Imagination itself, God in action. You transcend it by living in the end, by feeling the joy of the fulfilled desire now. And when you find yourself restless, wondering when, how, or through whom it will come, simply smile and say, it is already done in the fourth dimension. Time is only the bridge by which it appears here. Then go about your day in peace. Do your work with joy. Give thanks in advance. And you will find, to your quiet amazement, that the manifestation comes not through struggle, but through perfect order. The old self will whisper, it took time. But you will know the truth that it was complete the moment you accepted it in consciousness. Time was only the servant, carrying the message from the invisible to the visible. And so I tell you, whenever you face delay or silence, remember this eternal principle. The cause is already planted. The effect must appear. Stand firm in that knowing, and your success, already set in motion, will unfold with effortless grace, right on time. Now let us close this lesson by moving into the final understanding, the realization that seals the work forever, the calm certainty that your success is not a matter of chance, nor of waiting, but of eternal law already fulfilled in you. Now, my friends, let us bring this lesson to life through a simple, living experience, a quiet journey of imagination. I ask you now to make yourself comfortable, wherever you may be. If you can, sit or lie down in a position where the body is at ease and the mind may turn inward without distraction. Now, gently close your eyes. Let the weight of your body sink into the chair or bed beneath you. Let your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench, your breath become slow and steady. Feel the rhythm of your breathing as the doorway between the seen and the unseen. As your body grows still, let your attention withdraw from the outer world. No sound, no duty, no concern can disturb you here. For this brief moment, there is only you, the creative power of consciousness itself. Now imagine that we move forward in time, not far, just a few months ahead, to a day when your success has already become normal and natural. You are not waiting for it, not wishing for it. It is simply your life. Picture yourself rising in the morning of this new life. Notice how you feel. There is no striving, no questioning. You awaken in ease. Success is not something you chase. It surrounds you like air. Now let us shape a simple scene that would imply this reality is complete. Perhaps you are meeting a dear friend, someone who has always believed in you. You see them approach with a warm smile. They take your hand and say, with sincere joy, I'm so happy for you. You did it. I always knew you would. Hear their voice. Feel the warmth of their hand. See the light in their eyes. Feel your own quiet gratitude rise from within. Not excitement, not disbelief, but a calm, satisfied knowing, of course it happened. Let yourself dwell in that moment. Listen to the tone of your friend's voice, filled with affection and admiration. Feel your body respond. Perhaps a small smile forms on your lips. Your chest expands with quiet confidence. The air feels lighter. Even the colors around you seem brighter. Now look around this scene. Where are you? Perhaps you are in a familiar room, now filled with new warmth. Or maybe you are outdoors, the sun soft upon your face. Whatever you see, let it feel real and alive. Let the scene have texture, the gentle hum of distant voices, the faint scent in the air, the rhythm of your breath. You do not need to force any detail. Simply allow it to unfold naturally, as though you were recalling a memory that already exists. For indeed, in imagination, it does exist, here and now. Now step fully into that identity, the one who has already succeeded. Stand as that person. Feel how different the world seems from this higher standpoint. The same people, the same streets, the same duties, yet all bathed in a new light. You no longer move with uncertainty. You move with calm assurance. Feel what it is like to walk as this version of yourself. Each step carries ease. You no longer question when or how. You simply live as one for whom success is an ordinary fact of life. You are not surprised by it. You are grateful, yes, but not astonished. It feels as natural as breathing. Now quietly say to yourself within, this is me. This is who I am now. And as you say it, let the words sink deeper than thought into feeling, into knowing. Stay there for a few moments, resting in this fulfilled state. Breathe slowly and deeply, feeling the rhythm of success move through you. Each breath affirms it is done. Each exhale releases the old self that doubted or waited. If stray thoughts come, do not resist them. Let them drift past like clouds, and gently return to this scene, to this feeling of completion. There is nothing to force, nothing to control. You are simply allowing yourself to remember the truth, that your success is already real in consciousness, awaiting only your continued acceptance. Now begin to let the scene fade softly, as though a curtain were gently closing. Keep the feeling, the calm assurance, the quiet joy, but let the images dissolve. You may wish to fall asleep now, carrying this mood into slumber. If so, let it be the last thing you think and feel tonight. And if you are listening during the day, simply open your eyes slowly, bringing this state back with you. Know that something within you has shifted, perhaps subtly, but permanently. You have walked, if only for a few minutes, in the footsteps of your successful self. Return to this simple scene each night before sleep. Let it become your private sanctuary, the place where you rehearse your future until it becomes your present. And as you do, your outer world must by law reflect the inner pattern you have assumed. For imagination is not daydream, it is creation. And what is created in imagination must take form in the world of sense. So carry this feeling with you now, gently, naturally, quietly, and let the world rearrange itself around your conviction. You are already successful. It has been set in motion. You have only to live in the knowing of it. Now let us bring this hour to its close with the final realization that there is nothing more to seek, only more to express. For the seed of success is already planted within you, and what you truly are can never be lost. Now, my friends, before we close tonight, let us lift our understanding to its highest meaning, the true purpose behind all this teaching, the divine promise hidden within the law itself. For though I have spoken much this evening of success, of abundance, of opportunity, of the realization of your earthly aims, these things, wondrous as they are but shadows of something infinitely greater. The money you earn, the home you build, the applause you receive, these are lovely symbols, but they are not the substance. The true success, the only enduring success, is the discovery that your own wonderful human imagination, your I am, is God within you. You see, when I first began to teach this law, many came to me seeking outward things, wealth, health, recognition, reconciliation. And that is perfectly right, for it is the nature of God to express himself in form. But as you use the law faithfully, something extraordinary begins to happen within you. A quiet unfolding, a dawning awareness that every external manifestation, every fulfilled desire, every answered prayer has been pointing all along to one radiant truth. You are the operant power. You are the cause of all that you experience. At first, you may use imagination as a servant, to fetch this or that, to bring comfort, to prove itself true. But in time, you come to see that the law itself is not separate from the one who imagined it. You realize that the creative power you wield so casually in imagination is the very power that formed the world, hung the stars, and gave you breath. And that realization, my dear friends, is the beginning of awakening to the promise. For I tell you, every soul on earth will one day awaken to know himself as God. That is the purpose behind every seeming success and failure, every joy and every sorrow. The law is the schoolmaster leading you to the promise, leading you to that day when you will know, not as theory, but as living experience, that the Father and you are one. In my own journey, I sought first the law. I tested it. I proved it. I imagined myself where I desired to be and saw the outer world obediently reflect it. But the day came when something greater dawned, when the curtain of sense was torn, and I discovered, beyond all question, that I am is He. And so I say to you, use the law boldly, but remember always that it is only the beginning. It trains the mind to believe, the heart to feel, and the soul to awaken. For every act of faith, every assumption sustained, every dream fulfilled, strengthens the awareness of the divinity that imagines through you. When you use the law with love, when you assume with kindness, when you bless others by seeing them as already whole and free, you are preparing yourself for the greatest realization of all, that there is no other. All is one being, expressing through countless forms. So though you may begin with the desire for worldly success, let it lead you upward. Let the fulfillment of your outer aims serve as reminders of your inner power. For what you truly seek is not more things, but more awareness, the knowing that you are the source of all that you behold. And one day, as surely as dawn follows night, you will awaken to find that everything the world calls success, every position, every possession, every relationship was but a mirror leading you to the eternal discovery that you are the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the creation, the beginning and the end. So I tell you, the greatest success is not what you get, it is who you awaken to be. The richest treasure is not gold or fame, but the living awareness of your own divine identity. When you know that I am, your own consciousness is God. You walk the earth in quiet majesty. You no longer seek from the outside what you already are within. You act not from hunger, but from fullness, not from striving, but from expression. And every act, every word, every thought becomes an outpouring of divine imagination made visible. So let this truth settle deeply in you tonight. All the success you can ever imagine is contained in your awareness of being. The law will bring you your desires. Yes, faithfully, beautifully, but beyond the law lies the promise. The revelation that you are the one who imagined all worlds into being. That, my friends, is the ultimate success. And when that moment comes, when you stand in the stillness of your own divine realization, you will see that every desire, every test, every delay was but a step toward awakening to who you have always been. Now let us conclude our journey together with the final understanding, the serene recognition that nothing more needs to be attained, for all has already been given in consciousness. Your success is not a goal to reach, it is the eternal expression of the God you already are. And now, my friends, as we come to the close of this hour together, let us gather all that we have learned tonight into one living realization, one flame of understanding that will burn quietly within you long after these words have faded. Let me remind you once more of the great, simple truth that underlies everything I have said. Consciousness is the only reality. There is no power outside of your own awareness. No fate, no accident, no person, no circumstance can create for you. For all that you experience flows forth from what you accept as true within yourself. Your success, which you have so long sought in the outer world, is already complete in the unseen dimension of being. It exists now, whole, perfect, finished, in what I have called the fourth dimension, the realm of infinite potential. And the moment you assumed it to be true in consciousness, that very instant it began to move toward expression in your world of sense. You do not need to make it happen. You do not need to fight for it, chase it, or plead with life to deliver it. Your only work, your sacred work, is to remain faithful to that inner state, to live inwardly from the feeling of success already accomplished. Everything else, the time, the means, the people, the circumstances, will align themselves automatically. For the outer world is but the shadow of the inner. Do not measure by appearances, do not ask when or how. Simply rest in the knowing that it is already done. And as you persist in that knowing, the unseen will solidify into fact with the certainty of sunrise following night. So tonight, as you lie down to sleep, I ask you to test the law for yourself. Not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. Before you drift into slumber, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let your imagination clothe itself in the reality of your success. See yourself already where you long to be, and then let it go, not with strain, but with gratitude. For what you have conceived in consciousness must appear in your world. That is not my promise. It is law. It cannot fail. Now, as we close, I invite you to make these words your own, not as mere sentences, but as living truth. Repeat them quietly in the stillness of your heart, letting each phrase sink deeper into conviction. Say within yourself, I am already successful. Feel what that means. Not a future success, not a hope, but a present reality. Let the feeling of it spread through you like warmth through the body. Now say softly, my success is in motion now. Even as you sit here, unseen forces are arranging themselves on your behalf. The bridge of incidents is forming, perfect and precise. Then affirm gently, my world is rearranging itself to match my new self-concept. Everything that no longer belongs will fade away. Everything that aligns with your new state will draw near. All without struggle, all in perfect order. And finally, say with quiet power, what I have assumed in consciousness must appear in my world, for it is written, as within, so without. It cannot be otherwise. Now breathe deeply. Let these truths settle into silence. Feel the calm assurance that comes when you no longer need to strive, when you know that the creative act is finished. And as you go forth from this moment, walk as one who already possesses what he once desired. Speak, move, and live from that consciousness, and the world will mirror it faithfully. Remember, always, you are not the beggar of life, waiting for fortune's favor. You are the life itself, the dreamer who creates reality by imagining. The law is simple, the promise is sure. So go now in quiet confidence. Live tonight as though your success were already fact, because it is. And as you prove the law for yourself, you will discover the greater gift hidden within it, that you are not merely successful. You are the source of success itself. Good night, my friends. May your imagination bless you richly, and may you awaken tomorrow to find that the world has already begun to take the shape of your conviction. For truly your success is already set in motion, and the law never fails.